Hello and welcome. It is your weekly program that has always been concerned with the virtual gathering. That is, the gathering that occurs on air and online. I'm Sherwood McCaskie, as always. Thanks for your time. On the first Sunday in May, historian Trevor Marshall brought us to this site, not to discuss the community, but in a very interesting manner, he discussed aspects of the social and economic history of Barbados that could be told by a view from the cliff. Our tradition dictates that we do not enter a community without first paying homage to its elders and respecting aspects of that community's history, its heritage, and its culture. So in a sense, we could not bring you into the community of Hackleton and detail the view from the cliff and ignore the story of a family who, through that special blend of pride and industry, is doing all to ensure that this site is shared not only with those of us here in Barbados, but with visitors from all over the world. In fact, on that first Sunday in May, we were able to reach this point and present the first program because of the efforts of Roger Moore and members of the community. Today, Hackleton Cliff is nicely landscaped. It is safe, but prior to 2015, the area looked somewhat like this, overgrown and bushy. Pastor Lorton Moore grew up in Hackleton Cliff. He knows the area very well.
Well, bush, it is being transformed due to the efforts of one or two of the villagers, one of them being my nephew, Roger Moore. He, along with some more individuals, took it upon themselves to more or less transform the area.
He has taken it from what was a ragged bush sitting on one of the most beautiful spots in Barbados to a destination point now where lots of tourists visit. The safari tours and so on, they all go there.
For who don't know, I'm Roger Moore, world famous name, right? James Bond. Anyhow, growing up here, it was always, to me, it was always an interesting place because I grew up seeing lots and lots of visitors, what we would call tourists, coming for the view. Before it was recognized, people hike in this area, but it wasn't how you're seeing it now. It's a totally different. If you had to see it before, it was just bushy, wild tambourine, black sage, cuscus grass. You know, it was like, I say, a nice view, but overgrown with bush, everything like that. Some of the guys from out here would fish in nearby Tent Bay. We had the privilege of actually sometimes staying and looking over the cliff and seeing them walking, coming up. So they would come and distribute the fish or whatever.
You had all kinds of jobs represented coming through the cliff mouth. You had the chemist.
That is the place I used to walk 16 miles a day from Cleveland Center, Lamar, 8 miles going and 8 miles coming. And the only way you could catch me going through this cliff is if you run. And if you run, then the only way you could catch me. From the Cleveland Center, 16 miles, by the time you had to run. When you say get from top of the hill, boy, you had to run to catch me going on the road. A man with speed, and I tell speed going down like a rocket out the sides, going to work, I had to get work. And then when I get work, I had to work 7 to 7. Either 12 hours, 7 to 7 day or 7 to 7 night. So I had to work.
You had the teachers, there were the students, of course. You had the hawkers. Believe it or not, hawkers came from Cambridge, where you went earlier, Chalky Monk, that area, walk right up through the cliff. And going to venture St. John, you could imagine that fish vendors, they came from Bathsheba, right over there. They would travel from Bathsheba up through the cliff. I know there was a lady, she lived in Sherwood, Sherwood, St. John, but she would walk down the cliff, back up with tray on head, selling all over St. John. Could you imagine that? That was like a conduit for many businesses, church no exception. Could you imagine a chap around 60 years, walking from Venture, the same Pentecost church, down through the cliff mouth, down through the cliff. Where you think that he lived? He lived in Hillswick. You know Hillswick? That's near to where you had that incident, Powell Spring, the old Powell Spring. He lived in that area. And practically every night once there's church, he would find himself to church. Faithful soul. Then there were two others that lived in the area, two females. I could remember their names now, Gamble and Seeley. Two sisters. And they would walk that journey right up through the cliff.
You could have run from down on the cliff day or night without some of your feet, because it's a road. It was a road. The bush they go up there. I come down there hours a night because I started work at the chemist and come home. Plant the ground and come home. Yeah, yeah. All the lot of people used to live on the hill, right? On that hill, that cliff had about 20 houses. Oh yes. They had about 20 houses underneath the cliff.
And they moved them up?
Yeah, there was some gone up to Edge Cliff, some were gone to Venture. There it is. But all the houses moved there now.
My mother, she used to live in the cliff, but I wouldn't have been aware of this. From the time I know myself, I lived at the house. Well, it was a little different. The first house there, that is our family house.
In a sense, those folks who traverse this area were honoring the traditions and customs of our forefathers, who made a very good use of this path to conduct business for hundreds of years. This was being done oblivious to the view on the eastern side. Now let us get a better sense of what the area was like with all of the bush. How did people reach the cliff top to enjoy the view?
Well, before, you had to enter from where my mom, where we have the arch, you could drive right on to the pasture, right? That there was always open. It was an open area, so you could drive on to the pasture. That was, at least that look kept because of constant traffic. So you will find the visitors, as they come, they would drive on to the pasture and go to the lookout point, and then they were also going to look at the three tombs that are located beneath the lookout point. So you could drive on to the pasture. This whole area, you could drive on to the whole area.
Roger Moore and members of the community were inspired to debush the area because of a number of factors, sadly, robberies.
And the two houses that suffered most was my mom and the neighbor's house, because they are closer to this area. And the neighbor, incidentally, he has multiple sclerosis, right? So we decided, we started, we stopped, then we started again. You understand? So that's one of the reasons that we decided to clean this area. Because honestly speaking, you can't deal with the break-ins, then you can't deal with the bad publicity. So therefore you had bad reports of the area and of the country. And incidentally, right, it made the press, British news, British tabloids, everything. So we decided to clean it up.
When I first met Roger, he was initially the person, who had started the project, him and some of the others from the community. And he had told me about it, and it seemed interesting at the time. He sent me pictures of how it was before. And, he would talk to me every night. He would tell me about how frustrating it is at times. How he wanted to give it, and I would encourage him not to. And it's going to pay off. Just keep doing it, and you can see the fruits of it afterward. When I eventually did move down here, because I lived further up St. John, I was in Clifton Hall. When I eventually did move down here, it still was not as far as this, but it was a lot better from what he had shown me. And I continued to encourage him, and then I eventually got into it, seeing his passion for it.
But then we decided to take it on seriously around 2015 in August. This year will be 5 years that we've been doing this here. It started with the residents in the area, myself, my mom. So my mom has a green thumb, right? So it wasn't any professional help, it was just, as I said, the residents. And the thing is, we just planted them, but incidentally they came out nice. We didn't follow a pattern, we just planted, got some plants from my mom, got this from my mom, and then some people donated plants and everything. As I say, this is the result. Okay. We didn't have any professional help, any professional advice, anything like that. But there are also some people that played a real key role in helping us. Mr. Peter Booz, he helped us with by donating weed whacker, wheelbarrow. He paid for a bobcat on more than one occasion to help us bring the mall on here to push off the whole area.
Well, I have always enjoyed going there. Many years I would drive up there and try and get to the cliff's edge if I could, because before what has happened, it was bush and, you know, difficult to get at the actual cliff. But so it's somewhere I had visited many times when I had friends visiting with me. I'd say, let's go on, I want to show you a beautiful view, you know, and we'd go up there. So about 5 years ago, on one of those visits, I noticed that some people, there were about 2 or 3 men working at the site, and they were clearing the bush. So I am a pretty sociable kind of person, so I inquired as to who they were, what they were doing, you know. So that is when I first met Roger Moore, and I met his mother, and he explained to me that he had this idea of making the place, well, one, safer, because, you know, with a lot of bush and so on around, you never know what would happen, and that he had this idea of making it more attractive for people to visit. So I thought, wow, this is fantastic. Now, I am very interested in entrepreneurs. I am very interested in helping people. So a lot of my time now is around what I call social investing. So I do a lot of that, and so he seemed like a wonderful, because here was somebody who wasn't getting help from anybody. Essentially on land he didn't own, but taking an initiative, you know, which is like, wow, this is not something you see that often. You know, so I thought, this is fantastic, you know. And he had working with him a couple of other men. One was older men. I mean, one was a semi-cripple. He has a, can't remember what malady he has, but I mean, I think it may be MS or something like that, you know. And he was dragging himself around, weeding, and you know, and I thought, gee whiz it, now this is the kind of story we need to tell, you know, because this is, to me, I'm a great believer in community philanthropy and community collaboration, because I am a great believer that everybody has gifts, whatever those might be, and that if you connect the gifts through a sort of a hand-holding approach, then a lot could happen. That's my view of it, and there's lots of other examples I could give of that. So I immediately said to him, well, look, how could I help you, you know? And then started a relationship which has gone on ever since, to the point where we become good friends. He got married to Nikita. He had 2 twin children. We went to their wedding. And so on, and we communicate every day on WhatsApp. He usually sends me a nice spiritual greeting every morning, which is nice, you know, in these times. And so over those years, I have always been and visited and provided help in many different ways, you know. But, you know, I regard that, in my view, as my duty and a privilege, you know, to find a project like this that I could help. Was like, wow, this is what you're meant to do. Some of the other companies that have donated stuff for him, benches and other things.
The Hiking Association, you can see the name on the benches. They hike from out here, they donated all these benches. Well, at least the only one that's homemade with the bench there. And the BTMI, Terry Vanderpool. I mean, I can't begin to tell you how much she's helped us up here. First, she helped with the toilets. Actually, they maintain the toilets, they pay for the toilets. Then she helped with this fencing. This fencing is roughly 2 months, because it was never fenced. It only had a little fence in the area, right? But it wasn't safe like this here. So as you see now, I can even bring my kids and let them play.
I'm happy. It's a lot safer, because when he was telling me about the issues that were out here before, you know, with the robberies and what's not, I was a bit skeptical at first, but you can see now, you can see better. You don't have to worry about anybody having some place to hide. And with the fencing up now, it's even easier for me to allow my children to come out here and play. And that was a concern for me as well, with people coming out here with kids. Because as a parent myself, I was wondering, well, how comfortable are people when they bring the children up here? You know, what's going to happen? I would not like a case where somebody comes out here with a child and the child gets injured, anything like that.
Then people could come here, enjoy picnics, and enjoy safety. So as I said, Terry Van der Poel, Peter Booz, Peter Laurie, the Hiking Association, and I don't know if you realize on your previous visits out here, we also have an island constable station here. Julianne Holder, and she did so much with this project. Gave us ideas, brought flowers, and she's also an adoptive member of the community because she's my kid's godmom. Right? She lives in St. John, Gall Hill, but she's stationed here now over 10 years. She works here, but she is also, you know, one of the people you have to praise, especially even more so now, frontline worker, because she made sure that there's a law and order here. And then there's the Royal Barbados Police Force. A good friend of mine, PC Torn, Dalton Torn, he gave us ideas for up here. And you know, he also made sure that things go in place, because every day we have police presence in the area. Police come, make sure that everything is going good, whether the island constable is here or not. And from the time she has been stationed here, and from the time you have police presence, we haven't had any robberies in the area, because the police does not come at designated time, but they come every day, sometimes 3-4 times a day and at nights. So, you know, you have to give kudos to the Royal Barbados Police Force that have been doing a great job up here, because they know that up here is one of the major tourist attractions in the island. So kudos to those and everyone that helps.
There is a great sense of satisfaction and joy in doing a job well. People intrinsically seek joy, and joy connects people more powerfully than almost any other human experience.
Honestly, I feel great. Again, growing up here, seeing what it was like before, seeing what it is now, as I said, is like a dream. And then there were times I actually take this for granted, because, you know, every day you're looking at the same thing, and it's like, I can't understand what people are looking at. But then people come in here and explain to me, they would prefer to wake up to this than seeing these concrete buildings. It was like, you know what, let me see what I'm looking at. And then I realized what it is. And not only that, if you feel like it's beautiful during the day, you should see it when the sun is setting, and then when you got the backdrop of the lights, the whole landscape, to me, is even more beautiful at nights, right? So as I say, I'm proud of the job that the community has done, and the job that we, myself and my family, are continuing to do. And the thing is, and I need to make this clear, we are not doing this for monetary gain. We are doing this for love of country, love of community, and we are playing our part where tourism is concerned. People will see a contribution box, right? And the contribution box is there, that if anyone makes a contribution, it goes back to the upkeep in the area, because you know we still have to service the lawnmower, the weed whacker, buy string, buy gas, seedlings, because we have a kitchen garden over there by the community tank. And then there are also times that I cannot do it, that I paid someone to paint these benches. These benches wasn't actually green. When they came here, they were unpainted. And then sometimes I pay to get the grass cut. So any contribution, you know, because some people might have a belief, you know, that you're living off the contribution box. No, sometimes there's nothing in the contribution box. But yet we get things done, because my mom sometimes uses her money. Myself and my wife, any money we have, sometimes if it's extra money, we use it.
My thumbs are some other color but green. Nothing I touch. I'm not a gardening person, but through him, I found a love for it. And, you know, I'm a people person at heart. I love talking to people. I love meeting people. So interacting with the tourists, with the other locals that come up here, that made it easier for me to, you know, get into this. And then I'm a chef by profession. So when it comes to food, I can do anything with food. So I decided, you know what, the tourists, when they come up here, they don't necessarily want something that they can get in a hotel. You know, sometimes you just want something rustic and laid back. So I decided to do sugar cakes. I would do chicken and chips, you get fish and chips. I do golden apple sugar cakes, cherry sugar cakes, guava, whatever fruit I can source, I can turn it into something. And they like that. I would roast breadfruit, you know, just give them an authentic Bajan feel for our cuisine.
And as I said, the kindness of people. Again, there's Peter Booz, right? Junior Jordan, right? The kindness of those people help us because, you know, they spread the word about Hartleyton's Cliff, about the work that we have been doing. So then you get people that come in asking you, well, how can we contribute? Whether it's with a plant, whether it's with an idea. Because we are open to ideas. It's like, if you have an idea, call and tell us, or come and tell us. We open to suggestions, we open to ideas. Hopefully one of these days, it will get to the point that we could probably get a stipend or get paid to maintain it, but that might be a different story.
He's now attracted other support from government agencies, and the owners of the land have sort of formalized the arrangements with him so that he is there, although technically he has no formal lease. In essence, as I understand it, they've given him the right to stay and to use it, which is good. And he has since then, you know, made the park more beautiful, toilets, and I mean, it's just a transformation. So to me, that says, you know, it's a model of how we can change, because so often people want to sit back and have somebody else come and do it for them. You know, let the government come and let them cut down the bush, and you know, and I'm going to sit here and twiddle my thumbs. But he's taken a completely different approach, which I think is a successful approach, and is a model that many others could do. And I think there are many other people like me, frankly, who would help. You know, I'm just one of many who would be in the position who could say, well, you know, if there's a project like this where we can help out, either through, I help out in two ways really. Money is one aspect of it, but the other thing is relationships. I may have connections in the community. I could call somebody and say, you know,
you are as strong as your own shoulders, which you allow others to be carried on. The greatness of a man is seen not in the display of his wealth, but how he uses that to be of benefit to others.
Honestly, maintaining up here now is a task, right? If people believe that it was bad before, it is even harder now, because why? To keep it like this now, we don't want to get it back how it was. So obviously now we got to put in extra work. But one of the plans that I have, or that I would like to see implement, is that usually lots of people only know what is above the cliff. They don't know what's beneath the cliff, right? They don't know about the trails. They don't know about actually using this road to get back to Foster Hall, back to Bathsheba. Any given time, I would like that if I could arrange some tours for anyone, just contribute something to the area. So I would like it that at least, even if I could get tourists coming out here, that I could show them the trails beneath the cliff, because lots of people, they're fascinated by up here, but they will be more fascinated if they see what's beneath the cliff. Especially if they even start there, see the structure. Imagine that wall has been there before some buildings have been built, and it's still up. No steel, nothing. That alone should speak volumes about the architecture and the work that has been done. Then if you go further down, there's a guy that used to live out here. If you see how he has down there, look, in terms of like where he lives, and for his carpet, he has these coconut shells. It's amazing. Nobody won't believe that a guy could be living down there so comfortable. And then a bit further, my friend works up land in that area where his grandfather used to live, and he has it excellent. So lots of people only seeing this view, but going down there, you know, they will be surprised.
There are many possibilities, and of course, this place has great potential. What are Roger's hopes for his beloved Hackleton's Cliff?
It's to see the area even get bigger and better in terms of tourism. One of the fears that I have is up here, getting back to how it was like before. Because basically, there's no funds to pay anyone to maintain this. So I would like to see if this could come even as a job. I don't know what plans is in the pipeline, but my main thing is that I would love this area to be maintained, because it is one, if not the best views in the island. and plus it's also free, right? We don't even ask if anyone contributes. It's okay. We don't go and solicit funds. We don't go and ask anyone to contribute because, you know, if you have to go out of areas, even Harrison Cave, you have to book, you have to pay. You come in here, right? It is free, right? And you know, sometimes all this ask people to do, just show respect to the area. Don't litter. Don't sit on top of tables. That's all I ask, right? To enjoy all of this, just do that. It's strictly up to you if you want to contribute or not. You don't have to. You're not forced to. But with or without the contribution, the show will go on. With or without.
So that's the story, and I just very proud of it. I'm very proud of him. I mean, I don't take any credit for it. It's his project, and he did it, and he's made it what it is. And so I see that as a really good example of how, by collaboration, he happens to be living quite near to me, just up the hill over there, actually, where the project is. So it's convenient for me to get there. Obviously, in the COVID days, I'm not visiting at the minute, but we communicate every day, as I said. I think he's created an exceptional model of a business that is viable. Obviously, with the COVID and no tourists around, it makes it impossible for people to visit. But that will pass, and he has built something that I think it's a lovely spot. It's one of the most beautiful spots on the island. But although I have a lovely view and so on, but I am more excited by the ability, by what he has achieved through his thinking and his hard work, right? And so I wish him tremendous success, and I'll continue to support him however I can.
Sometimes that's all that is required. A pledge, a commitment to support and work with those who are helping themselves. It is the story of the family that is maintaining this site for the enjoyment of all of us. There are some very good people on this island. I'm Sherwood McCaskie. Thanks for your time.
Everywhere I go, people want to know.